Boop. Hello, everyone. Welcome. It is Saturday. Actually, feeling quite refreshed today. Had a beautiful spiritual dance last night, and we were just moving, and it was wonderful. So, welcome, everybody, and come on in and join me. Whoa, you're my husband in the background. Forgot to shut my door. So, hello. Let everybody come on in and join me. For those who are joining me for the first time or watching the replay, yeah, I'm Mary June Tracy, the Guru Mama. I'm a spiritual life coach, spiritual love of life coach, and an astrologer, bringing you in to the cosmos and to the energies of the day. So, what are the energies? I mean, the sun's not doing too much. I mean, it's like, yeah, I had a full moon last night, kind of just chilling. So it's like almost like the moon or the sun's just like shellacking, sitting back, maybe going and visiting some family, just just sort of having that chill kind of energy, with the sun, sort of building up its Leo-ness. um, I always love I do. I kind of I like Leo energy, and I do love it in this time of the summer. Yes, it's usually the hottest time of the summer, and yes, I know it's hot but there's something about this time of year, and especially if you have a garden or if you own orchards. This is like the time that you would get your fruit at the ripest. This is a time when you can, a lot of tomatoes are ripening on the vine, and going out and picking, the sweet peas and the onions, and the leeks and the radishes. So this is a really beautiful, energetic time of the year. And it is coming into having the harvest time. So for some are baling hay, the first hay cut, and doing the hay. So we have the hay cuts that are there. But unfortunately, I know some farmers are having a little bit of an issue with that, but I know the smell, the roses, the flowers, things blossoming. So it's really a beautiful day to step into some flow and some energy and movement today. And with Neptune's bringing in intuition. So I'm going to call today like a walkabout day, going out, having a walkabout, not just allowing yourself to flow. And as my husband is standing there, he's waiting for me to talk to him. So I'm going to do a pause. So Candace, talk to everybody. I should invite her on. As I do, I have to do a little chat with my husband. 1 second, please. Just an interlude of a moment. 1 second. So I am back. Come on. Candace says, come on, Steve. You should know better. So welcome. Hey, I leave, more people show up. But you do have that really nice energy with today. And that full moon, that activation of the moon last night was pretty powerful. And it is in conjunct with Venus today. So yeah, the moon might be aggravating Venus a little bit. So there might be a little bit of an irritation. But I think, with that, and wants to tell the goddess of love what to do. But this is where this energy is also coming in, and she's going to tell him to mind his own business, anyways, because Venus and Virgo doesn't put up with a lot of shit. So she's not going to take any criticism and just shrugging it off. And so the energy is just shrugging it off and going forward with your energy. As we're moving through the day, Mercury in Cancer is trining Neptune, and that is your intuition, right? That is your intuition. It was powerful. There were some definite changes coming up. Feels like it lifted blocks. Yes, exactly. It was. It there was some real like, well, last night we did the spiritual dance, so we did the movement, and doing the movement, when we're moving our bodies, we're shifting the energy. And as you're moving your hands, you can really, push energy away and bring what it is that you want to bring forth, right? And so it's a very powerful. And this moon was, I'm going to say, like an activation, very powerful activation with this, and helping us to step into our intuition, into our pathway, and it's the Aquarius. So I always, one of the things that I was taught when I was learning astrology, whatever sign is opposite you, that's the sign that's teaching you. So for Leo, it's Aquarius. So what is Aquarius teaching you? It's teaching you about community, stepping out, being a part of it, but yet still keeping your identity and your uniqueness of who you are. Saturn is a little pissy today for whatever reason. Maybe he had too much of the full moon energy last night, but he's a little bit pissy and a little bit on edge. And he's like, I'm going to call him the grumpy drunk. So Saturn is the grumpy drunk that was enjoying himself last night, yet he's like waking up and like, why isn't this done? And rah, 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 and started storming through and wanting to get things organized. And everybody else is like, no, we're going to the beach. Come on, grab your towel. We got to get a spot. Remember the umbrella and the sunblock. And Saturn's like, oh, I don't want to go to the beach. Rah, rah. But he'll be okay once he gets there. It's that's kind of like you might come across somebody like that around you, and you're just like, come on, let's just, just suck it up, buttercup. Let's just move forward, because Saturn can put a little bit of a twist in there. I mean, he does want to communicate. He does want to be around. Like, I'm just thinking, does he really want to be around people? But he says, what you need to say in order to make changes. So he might have some suggestions for where changes need to be made within the structures of your life, within movement, anything along that line. Because he's also saying that there is some endings that are coming up for us, and releasements. So he's bringing in, and he says, you got to communicate this. Sure, you can go off to the beach, you can go off and do your thing, but there's still conversations that are going to be having to have. And Saturn, being Mr. Grumpy, will, because he's going to hold you to that. He's going to hold you to those conversations. He's going to hold you to your truth. And that's what he does. And many times we don't want to be held to our truth, and we don't want to be held to a definition of what we should be doing and how it should look. So Saturn's kind of like putting a little bit of a twist in there. There's a little bit of energy too about family and siblings. So there's sibling energy that's coming in, and the sibling energy is very much, maybe connection or remembering when. So you might be going to a spot or looking through some old photos, or you run across an old photo. So there's a little bit of melancholy within the air too. So 6 of Cups comes in, and the 6 of Cups is that of remembering things from the past, the melancholy, kind of like, oh, remember it when it was this way, and maybe you're the only one that remembered it as a happy time. Everybody's like, no, that was crazy. Aunt Joe showed up, and you're like, oh, I thought it was, was something different. But it's that kind of flowy day. It's kind of like a very flowy day. I'm feeling quite engaged with this energy, and really to go and do a walkabout. Like today I'm going to the what is it called? Anyways, there's a market that I'm going to. It is one of the first pagan witchy markets that we've had in a long time, and it is in the Pembroke Community Hall in Pembroke here in Calgary. So it's from 11 to 5. I'm going to go there sometime, probably early afternoon, and just take a walkabout, take a look, see who's there, say hi, and see what kind of wares people are selling, and That's, make, connections, people maybe that I haven't seen in a while. So if you're out in the Calgary area, definitely check that out. It's on Pembroke Drive Southeast at the community hall. The community hall is right there on Pembroke Drive. And you can Google it, Pembroke Community Hall in the Southeast. So there's that's going on today. And I feel like, oh yeah, and I don't think there's a cover charge or anything to get in. So, nice to get out, look at some witchy wares or some other arts and crafty kind of things and connect with community, because that's the other thing, right? I'd go to an outdoor market. Hasn't there been enough indoor? Well, I don't know if this is indoor or outdoor, right? So, but there hasn't been a lot of indoor mountain markets actually. This is a first market of this sort in probably over a year. So, except I know Blessed Circle had one and it was outdoors. She had an outdoor market at the store. She had a fairy market, and that did fairly well. And then this is the first sort of indoor witchy market, I'm going to call it, in a long time. So, because the Witch's Brew is not, the Witch's Brew usually have one, but she was an indoor outdoor market, yet she's not doing it anymore. I think money issues or whatever, there is. But this is the first one. Anyways, gonna go check it out. See what it's all about. Not too keen about the Pembroke Mall, just an FYI. I'm not not too keen about that mall, that hall. It's kind of I know the different things that have gone down in that hall, and it hasn't been positive. So it hasn't always had a positive vibration there. So we'll see how it turns out. What other things that are going on? Oh, couple things that I've noticed. Oh, I love to go to the markets in Australia. One day, I think maybe in about 5 years or so, we'll be able to get into Australia again. There was a weird picture of the New Zealand, and they took it down really quickly, and of the New Zealand president or prime minister, I don't know, prime minister, in the chambers of the Mason Hall with the Masons, with high degree Masons. So it's just, I mean, she came across as really like community out there, but she's kind of getting weird. And there's some strange things happening in and around her. And going in, and she was in the main hall at the Masons. So I don't, how this got leaked, but it got taken down very quickly. So working with things with the Masons, but that's what the Masons do. The Masons do work with community, or they make an outdoor pledge of working, and then they have their skull and duggery in in the background. So some of her affiliations and stuff that she's doing have been kind of like not always up front. So her energy's changing. I mean, I feel like she did a lot, like really came together. But the other part too is when you start to see things, and this is what you start to look at in and around, when even in Canada they've done that, when they start banning certain rifles and guns and ownership. And so there's some interesting things that I think with her are going to be taking place. And the other side of her, and I don't know if it's somebody who's close to her who is in the Masons, because the Masons are an interesting organization. And for her to be in that end of there has to be some kind of ceremony going on. And the ceremony with a woman going on is not always, I would say, above board. So Big MCs in New Zealand and give them money. Not sure if that's a great idea. Yeah, she's but that's part of it. Like that's the thing. It's like many times with a lot of those organized, they do big things. They want to do things for the community and build the community, but it's also kind of like a front because there's other things going on in the background. So it's like, look over here at what I'm doing. And many politicians do that. Look at over here, I'm doing something wonderful. And you don't see what the other side is doing. And they're doing some other underhanded things. The other thing, when you're dealing with a lot of things to do with Australia and New Zealand, they're very close to China also. And that's one of their biggest trade for their coal and ore and many other resources is that they trade with China. That's their biggest resources and contributors and investors in the countries, because they're down under, so it's easier they're trading with a country that's very close to them. I mean, it makes sense. So it's just interesting how things are on. These are like little things that come across that I see, and I'm just like, oh, that's interesting. Not too sure what it all means yet, but it just didn't feel right. Another thing, and this just to my heart, be sad. Well, kind of sad, but anyways, in the United States, there is it's Starbucks. It's Starbucks, people. It's Starbucks. What they're doing is that they're putting stickers on here, and putting government down under is very different to here. Oh yeah, oh no kidding. Well, it would have to be because it's different, but I still think there's always something crazy. And with what's happening in the world today, there's some nuttiness going on. And this is the other thing. It's like when I see corporations pushing something, and you start seeing a lot of corporations starting to do things, right? They are very vocal and ready to tell you to fuck off. Yeah, they are. But in Australia, and I've talked to a lot of Australians, they will. They'll tell you to fuck off. But right now, they're not fighting for their rights and getting out there. They're waiting. They're just kind of waiting to see. They're very laid back when it comes to a lot of things too. So so are Canadians. I mean, we're very laid back and we kind of wait and see who else is going to do this. Who's gonna lead who's gonna lead the way. They're not like Americans who are loud and boisterous and say fuck. They say fuck you and then they get out and then they protest. But they gotta in other countries like New Zealand, Australia, Canada, they kind of wait and see. There's a wait and see kind of attitude before they actually get out and do it, sort of thing. So, but going back to Starbucks. With the Starbuckian, they've been putting stickers on there on to hire, which is great. We're looking at new hires, and they said as a bonus, we are willing to help to fund or willing to help you with your transgender transition. And then they have the little thing that you can scan. You see, I don't have any issues with transgenders. I don't have any issues with Black Lives Matter or anything along that line, or people standing up for their rights and wanting to create a better world. Definitely. But when big corporations are behind it, and when you start seeing a push for, instead of saying, we're going to help you to, I don't know, buy your vitamins or create better nutrition or something along that line. But they're focusing on one area. So when I start seeing, I know there's an ulterior agenda. Same with Black Lives Matter. There was an ulterior agenda to what they were doing. Yes, they have, bringing up rights and bringing up and the whole bit. Yes. But there's an ulterior agenda to it. I mean, and the backing of it all. this is where awareness needs to come in, and people, you just sort of have to take a step back and sort of go, what's up there, and discuss it. Have discussions about this, so that people are not just walking blindly. And that's with anything that's happening in the world. I believe there has to be appropriate discussions about it and understanding of what is going on. And the more we have these discussions, and having a discussion, not a not like you're wrong, I'm right kind of thing. And I know there's a lot of passion on both sides, especially when it comes to transgender. There's even, within the transgender community, they have many different opinions within the community. But when a corporation is starting to put that as one of their hiring things for you to come join their company, it's like at first you think, oh yeah, that's great, they're being diverse, but why are they being so diverse, and why is the corporation pushing something like that? Well, not necessarily, but just advertising it. Then I start to worry. It's just like our census this year. It's like, why do you want to know what gender I am when I was born and what I am now? And you didn't really ask too much of anything else. So that I find interesting. And the one thing when Pluto's a very interesting with this too, is bringing up a lot of truth. But when Pluto goes in and when he starts entering Aquarius, we're going to see birth rates go down. And so we're going to see a depopulation of the world as Pluto goes into Aquarius. That's that's what happens whenever he goes into Aquarius. We see a decrease in population. And so this is where I'm watching, where when it comes to, transgendering, because once you switch, I mean, having a child is not going to be something that's going to be a natural occurrence. Unless they're going to start test tubing and growing babies in labs. And that comes into a moral issue when you're doing with that. So that's a very fine line. Not saying that they're not doing it now, but there is something that's coming up that I think that we have to pay more attention to. And especially when more is being pushed upon us on how we identify ourselves, and that you have to do it this way instead of that way, instead of being, because here comes the Aquarius energy of saying, why can't you just be who you want to be and not have to pinpoint this or that upon somebody else, and say you have to identify yourself as a birther or whatever the terminology is. So there is a lot, that's kind of, when I say, when you see one hand doing one thing, then there's something else going on over here. And that's where Saturn, let's have the conversations. That's where he gets a little bit grumpy. He wants to, what is going on here? Why is that happening? And when Jupiter hits Aquarius next week, we're going to start seeing a lot of repeat of what everything was going on with Jupiter in Aquarius from December of last year. So we're going to start seeing things come really up to the surface with him there. And as he moves closer to a Jupiter-Saturn conjunction. So we're going to see things coming out. And Jupiter-Saturn conjunctions, I mean, the big one that happened every 30 years. So with these conjunctions, and this last one was a big one because it was the first time in 800 years it was in an air sign in Aquarius. So this conjunction is bringing in some new changes and awareness for us. And when they met, they did meet in air sign in Libra in the 80s. And Libra is all to do with relationships. So when the Jupiter-Saturn, we saw shortly after that conjunction, was divorce rates, new types of marriages coming through, women not getting married, men not getting married, more changes, gay marriages, things along that line. So we saw a lot of changes within relationships and how we deal with relationships with that. Now with this Jupiter going back into Aquarius and Saturn there, we're going to start seeing a lot to do with what kind of who's your community, who you hanging with, who you associating with, and what is that association. And that's where we're going to be witnessing more of a division with the world around us. So there's going to be more scrutiny coming up and a push for you to be a certain way or do a certain thing. So more of those types of divisions, they keep saying divisions, are going to be coming up. And the Leo comes in because it's Leo energy that's here right now. And the Leo is like, but I want to be who I am. I want to live from my heart. I want to live in my truth. And I want to live with my passion and go forth with my passion, you know? And with the King of Pentacles energy that I'm feeling is very much where it's, you know, I want to create a strong foundation and know exactly where I want to go. This is where I need to step into and where I need to go towards. And that, you know, instead of just taking a side view or not stepping firmly into your own power and your own light and not falling into those, you know, the timelines, they keep coming in, so many timelines, and some of them are collapsing because they don't hold power. They don't hold the strength of what the light wants. And when we continue with that light energy, with our light energy, we'll find a lot of those timelines that aren't strong or are not within our consciousness fall away. As I say, we're, you know, being under the spell. Wherever you put the power is where the spell is. So if you put your power towards something like the virus, then the virus grows. If people are starting to ignore it, it's not getting the power that they want it to have. So they may bring something else in or some other ways to continue their oppression upon people. And this is where the light comes in even stronger, because it starts to open up where the shadows are and starts to show where the shadows are within our lives. So I'm going to pull out some cards here. I got this is beautiful. I have the Queen of the Moon Oracle cards. I used them last night. So I'm going to pull out some cards for us. I got a hot moon. Whew. Hot moon. Look at that. That's kind of like how the moon looked with all of the smoke. And so the extremes. So what are the extremes in your life at this time? So this hot moon is coming in and asking us about the extremes that are going on within our world. And this is to learn how to handle crisis with calm and resilience. Seeking balance is superior to seeking extremes. I handle extremes with grace, yet I seek balance in all things. Sunstone. Oh, yes. Yes, I got to find my sunstones today. Sunstone. Having your sunstone. If you don't have sunstone, they're beautiful, sparkly stones. And I have a couple of them. Now I got to find my sunstones, but I'm going to look for them later. But bring in sunstone. Sunstone is actually a beautiful Leo stone too, because it is the sun. So bringing that in to help you with the energies. And a hot moon challenges us to build our resilience and reserve of wisdom and calm for those times where things are in extreme. And the extremities are there. And we're going to be feeling them a lot more, especially when Jupiter heads into Aquarius. So we're going to feel those extremes come and resurface again. And with that, we have acceptance. So this beautiful energy of acceptance. Ooh, I love the coloring in that. Look at that. So pretty. So we have that, where the extremes of coming in, and then having the acceptance, to change the things you can change, and, and release what you cannot change. And this is the current situation, is the first step to change. And the past does not exist. The future hasn't happened. The only thing is right now. So I accept where I am and who I am right now. Beautiful. I mean, totally, what I've been saying is that this is a healing time of our ancestral lines healing. And we're unearthing a lot to do with our ancestral lines and within the healing of it all. And as we are bringing in that healing, we are allowing it to be released. We are allowing it to be released, to understand. Yes, there's going to be a lot of passion around it. There's going to be a lot of extremities that are going to come in, but it's to accept it. And accepting it is many ways a form of forgiveness. Now, when we do that, that doesn't mean you let whoever off the hook. What it means is that when we examine our lives and engage in some truth telling, we're confronted with what really is. And this resilience is powerful, but often we reject this truth if it's too hard to bear, or we are afraid of accepting something so difficult. So many times we're afraid to accept things in our life because the truth is just it's in our face. Yeah, it's like, no, that can't be. That would never be. Oh, I don't believe that. And this is what we're going to be witnessing, or we're going to be seeing, especially with Pluto in Capricorn, and then with Jupiter coming back into Aquarius. We're going to be witnessing a lot. And some of it is going to be like, whoa, what the hell? And Neptune is coming in Neptune. And as Neptune comes in and says, trust your intuition with this, you know what your truth is. You know what it is. The extremes are coming in, but you know, and sometimes even in that knowing is harsh, right? And like, it's harsh for me to believe that Starbucks wants to, propagate maybe something to do with transgender on a underhanded, devious way. I mean, it might look good up board, but what's their premise? Why that? There's so many things other things they could be promoting, like boosting I don't know, better health, food, providing, for the amount of money, maybe it's providing for their employees to be able to eat a healthy diet, So anyways, choosing to accept ourselves fully and the position we are enable us to take that steps towards growth. So where we are going towards growth. And the next card is protection. Oh, wow. I love these cards. Why aren't I using them more? Probably because I'm more of a tarot reader than I am an oracle card reader. So I think I need to get back into my oracle cards. So this, we have the extremes, we have the acceptance, and then we bring in the protection. And the protection is the higher power. However you describe it, is a loving protection energy. You are loved and protected. So taking that protection because of the extremes that are coming forth for us all, and accepting it will need protection. Knowing that you are loved and protected. This is where black tourmaline comes in. So having, some black tourmaline with some sunstone is something to bring forth. And the acceptance one, leptolite. Oh my goodness, these are all wonderful stones. Leptolite brings in calmness, and it works really well with rose quartz. So leptolite works, and it's a pink, and it's kind of a shale type of stone. So you can get it polished. If you get the raw form, it can be kind of shale. It's a little bit softer. It's not as hard as a quartz. It's a little bit softer. So this is bringing in that calmness. So bringing in, the sunstone, and having that energy of understanding, here I am, I'm standing in my power and in my truth, knowing that I'm fully protected in what I am doing. So Joan of Arc energy comes in with this. So the Joan of Arc energy is like, yeah, here I am. I'm only 16, but this is what I'm being called to do. And it seems extreme, and maybe it seems crazy, but I know this is my truth and this is what I need to stand for. So this is where the energies are coming forth. They're even doing, I saw something with Greta that there's some climate change talks and bringing in, and that's coming in with extremes too, with the climatization and talks on climate change and what that all means and what it means to all of us. And there's so many things that we have to look at when it comes to climate change, and what is truth and what isn't truth, right? So doing our own work on what it all means. Just so much, people. I'm going to go to the market and just take it easy today and just allow. Just that's what I'm going to do. Just allow. Just take one step in front of the other and just allow. Know that there's some nutty energy out there. Know that there's a lot of extreme energies that are taking place. I think there's a gathering today in Calgary downtown. So there is a gathering for what's the gathering for? I think for the lockdown or something, or masks. I have no idea. But anyways, there's one I know today, and I think there's tomorrow. It's on tomorrow or Monday in Edmonton. So we have that, and that's going on so much. I'm just gonna go and coast along and drink my coffee, and I'm going with the sun. And if I could go to the beach, if I could actually go to a really nice, to a real beach. And when I say by a real beach, I mean like going to a place where there's sand, real water, nice sun, and just relax. That to me would be a fabulous day. So today, go out, shine your light, be the beautiful energy that you are to be, and allow for the Lord and the Lady watch over you in all that you say and all that you be and all you do. Blessed be everybody. I have my coaching packages are now up on the gurumama.com website. So if you are wanting to look at some of the packages for my transformation coaching, definitely take a look at it, and hopefully see you in some coaching sessions. And my coaching sessions always deal with the God and the Goddess and the energies of the divine. So have a blessed one, and we will talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye, everyone. Have a great one.